welcome to another Zelda podcast. My name is Kady, and I'm here with the lovely...
Ooh, I'm lovely. I'm the lovely David Geisler.
There you go. I guess I should say my last name, Kady Roberts.
I guess we're doing last names this season. We've discussed this already.
Yeah. So anyway, David, how have you been?
You got to optimize that SEO.
I don't know what that means.
Search engine optimization. I guess it's redundant to say optimize SEO. It's like saying ATM machine. It's the automatic telling machine.
Yeah.
But no. It's full people. That's the way people can search you and find you on all your socials.
Well,
or you just give them your handle. Now that I think about
or
it, really just give them your
search
handle.
us and find us at our handles. But yeah, no, that's cool. I remember in college you came in to talk to us and during like a class about all that stuff. And I'm gonna be honest, I didn't understand any of it, and I wasn't paying that close of attention.
I think I kind of knew you already, right? Didn't we have a class or two together? Because when
you came in, we were already doing a podcast together for that one.
You were already on AZP at that point, right?
Yeah, for that class.
That was like early season 6?
Yeah, like my first year we were in a class or two together, though.
It might have been radio production 1 or something, right? Where we had to make the commercials, and I made the Zelda commercial.
Yeah, you made the really cool one.
Yeah, you were a very active you kind of stuck out in that class to me. I remember, you know how when you're in classes, you're kind of like, oh, who are the ones that are really putting energy in? And you were definitely one of them. But anyways, that was 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. I miss school. I know you probably don't because you're still dealing with everything. I'm still smack
dab in the middle of it. I have 2 classes this semester. I feel like the craziest thing that I've been saying for the past year is like, I've got 1 more semester, but I definitely have 1 more year. Unfortunately, I have about 4 more classes that I have to fulfill, which would normally be a semester, but it'll be 4. But anyways, right now I'm in another class with Matt. I think we've talked about this a little bit.
Yes, I love
and
Matt.
And then I'm in a really cool class with a professor named Yanti Friesman. And Yanti has been phenomenal. I've really enjoyed them. I also enjoy Matt very much. But they allowed me to, through means, I don't want to get too deep into the story, but they gave me the opportunity to have 6.5 Media. Oh, I might have it right here. See my little pass?
Oh, yeah.
I attended the podcast movement here in Chicago just last week as we recorded this. And it was amazing. It's an annual convention that happens here in Chicago. Podcasting has a lot of roots in Chicago. Do you know what's funny? I put my chair down so I'd be your height, and I just sat on my foot to get some of that height back. It's a little weird. It was amazing. I went there as 6.5 Media.
Yeah.
Though I kind of represented Returning Student and Another Zelda podcast. I met a ton of industry leaders, and I made 1 million contacts, and my LinkedIn has exploded.
That's so cool.
And I was really, I met the CEO of Transistor.fm, which is now the service we use to put our shows out. All of 6.5 Media uses that. His name was Justin. He was awesome. Bumped into him in the hallway a couple times. We've been messaging a little bit. He included me. I think I can say this. He invited me to be part of a WhatsApp chat. That was part of, it was kind of a joke, but it was like cool people at PME podcast movement. And Kady, I am a small fish in a big pond. I am in a WhatsApp chat now with like industry leading human beings, people from Podscribe, people from all the different companies I can think of. I just want to kind of keep it quick right now. It's so cool. And then in that chat, I got invited to another chat, which like literally is like the people that work with Audacity. They're like CEOs of companies. I don't even belong in these chats. It's the coolest thing in the world. I really feel
it's imposter syndrome. You belong. Don't worry.
So excited. Well, and I learned a lot about 6.5 Media. I learned a lot about how to continue monetizing, and because we're right at that cusp right now. We got a little bit of monetization, but I really would like this to be a job for, frankly, all of us, and to some capacity. And so that was amazing. Yanti.
Yeah.
Yep. So I did that at the podcast movement, which was, I think, 1 week, maybe 2 now, in the same convention center that you were just at on Friday.
Yeah.
Why were you over at McCormick Center on Friday?
C2E2, man. Through working at iHeart and working with the morning show there, I was able to get free passes. Technically, I got a free press pass for the whole weekend.
Yeah. But
I could only go Friday. So I went with my roommate, Izzy, and I was President Loki, and she went as Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah, it was awesome. You were full cosplaying.
Yeah, President it was Loki. Really great. Yeah. It worked out really well. I was surprised because both me and her did like closet cosplay. So it's just kind of like whatever we had already and put it all together.
Yep. Well, you got the Loki helmet somehow. Did you just own that already?
That I had owned for a while, and same with the wig. So It was really cool, though, because clearly it went over well because a lot of people asked us for pictures, which is really cool.
Yeah. I saw on your Instagram, it was kind of exploding. It was really exciting to see. And it was even weirder because I recognized the rooms you were in because I was literally there 2 weeks before talking with people like, yes, well, the state of podcasting is blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so that was really fun and really cool. And then this last week has been crazy because I'm starting to do on-air work now.
I was going to bring this up next. I'm glad you transitioned real quick.
And I don't have like a set schedule yet. It's kind of like just whenever I can fill in because there's still talks because I'm technically still part-time.
You were like 11 to 2 on Friday, I think it was, or just the other day?
Yeah, so I worked this last week, Sunday 11 to 4, and then I did the Saturday 11 to 4. But obviously I'm not doing it today, so I need to ask if I'm doing it Saturday. It's a lot of weird things because I'm still part-time and I work on the morning show, and then now I'm doing this, and now I also do promotion work.
Yep.
So it's just doing a Sunday and Saturday show, and then the 2 days I do work on the morning show, it's already 21 hours. So
great.
Which is great for me.
That's a good part-time job.
Yeah, which is great for me. But if they could make me full-time so I could do promotions and then also maybe do the whole week with the morning show, that would be amazing.
Well, that is the journey, I think. That is the stepping stones and the ladders to climb. And it seems like every time we chat, you've got another little step that you're taking. And I think that's really, really exciting, Kady.
Yeah, no, it's even cooler. The station, Rock 95.5, that I'm on is a union station. So I have to join SAG, which
Wonderful.
Is really cool. But also, their initiation fee is $1,800.
Holy moly! I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, just to join, and then also like you pay the dues. So I am going to be looking into a loan for the first time. So that'll be really cool.
Oh man, alive! Well, have fun with that.
Yeah, that'll be great.
My oh my! Well, I did want to kind of share some of that, a little bit of a catch up. We haven't seen each other for a few months. What's up?
I didn't even mention. I don't know if we've seen each other since then. I got back from Japan too.
So it's so funny. I was just the other day, I was editing our Hey Listen episode, which is out to the public now as they hear this, obviously. And you were talking about going to Japan, and we had a real cheeky little bit about how like you had already been and come back or something, because obviously it was like a month before. But by the time everyone heard that episode, you had been there. So real quick, how was Japan?
It was amazing. I had the best time with my brother. We did a lot of cool stuff, like going to shrines and whatever, but also a lot of weeb stuff. We went to the Oshinoko exhibit that was open for free there. I found an Angels of Death small pop-up. It was really cool. We walked around. I ate a lot of really good food, which is surprising because I have celiac. So I wasn't sure how the food situation would be.
Yeah.
But if you also have celiac and want to go to Japan, just plan beforehand. If you plan beforehand and kind of write everything out, it's not hard. So
that's cool.
It was really good.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't want to do hot takey, but was it easier to eat there than perhaps roaming around a city in America?
No.
It was harder.
It was way harder.
I see, but you were able to do it.
Yeah, but it was a thing of like I had to look before I went and be like, okay, these days we are eating here, here, and here. Because the one day I forgot to plan, which was when we were supposed to leave to come back home.
Okay.
I forgot to write down a restaurant to go to. And I tried going to like 3 different restaurants. 2 of them didn't have anything. One of them said that they did, but I went in and told them it was an allergy and they kicked us out.
They were like, no, get.
Yeah. So,
boof.
Yeah, that was a day. But the rest of the trip was really good.
Well, that's wonderful. I think let's get into some listener feedback here if you don't mind. I'm using my phone for our timer, so would you be comfortable just handing the phone back and forth? We've been kind of doing that lately.
Yeah. So
what do we have? Wait, we didn't even tell anybody what we're talking about yet.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, they've read the title, but like that's embarrassing. We're 9 minutes into this episode.
We're talking about Wind Waker.
There it is.
There
Done.
we go. We're talking about
first
impressions of Wind Waker.
Yeah, we're doing a first impressions episode, which was not part of the podcast's vernacular, so to speak, for the first couple seasons of this show. But we have this interesting thing that's happening now. We did a first impressions on Breath of the Wild. I stand corrected, like in season 1. Mm-hmm. And then as games have come out, as we've been making the show, we've been doing these first impressions on Echoes of Wisdom. We did a first impressions of Tears of the Kingdom. We still plan to do like review episodes on those games. But I felt like this could be fitting for 2 reasons. Yes, it's true. We're an evergreen show, blah, blah, blah. We're not a news show. But as of this recording, just a few days ago, Nintendo announced that GameCube games will be available on the Switch too. And one of the games that they featured heavily and highly was the GameCube version of Wind Waker. Mm-hmm. So I think it's kind of on people's minds right now, and that's really exciting. People might be able to play that come June on their Switch 2 if they get one, and that's a whole nother story. But with that said, kind of it's a little serendipitous, as you said so often in our last couple episodes, you're currently playing Wind Waker HD right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, bad news, I'm not playing the GameCube version. I'm playing
the
it's
Wii U
okay. version.
But I think what we'll do is a first impressions of Wind Waker so far. I don't know exactly where you are. We're going to learn when we talk about it. And we'll discuss it, and then I think that'll lead us into us being able to do a proper review episode of it either later in this season or next season, maybe.
I love that, yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah.
So for now, listener feedback.
All right, so this first one is an Instagram message from Chase, I believe.
Is it CHAISTE or something like that?
CHAISE.
Okay, I'm not sure. Cool.
Yeah, I'm guessing Chase. Says, hello, beloved podcast.
Wait, I think we read this.
Did we? We'll go to the next one.
Well, no. Read it a little bit. I think I did this in the Steven episode and maybe didn't delete it.
Hello, beloved podcast. I wanted to reach out and first say I absolutely love your podcast and miss it. I am playing Echoes of Wisdom for the first time, and I need to know what you and the team think of it. Hoping you come back soon to Green Hearts.
We did read this in the Steven episode, but thank you so much, Kady. Why don't you share your thoughts on Echoes of Wisdom a little bit? This message was sent to us while we were between seasons before we even did our Echoes of Wisdom episode.
Ooh. I love it so much. I love it so much. There are no words. I think it's my second favorite Zelda game now.
Of all time?
Of all time.
So far, what you played and all that?
Yeah, so far what I've played and all that. Top 3 are probably still Breath of the Wild because it's my first. Then probably Echoes, Ocarina. Honorable mention in the top 3 is Link's Awakening.
Yeah,
on the
cool.
Switch, because I really like that one too.
Cool, I love it. Yes, we definitely read that one, and I think I even did a request for Chase or Chase. I couldn't pronounce it. We follow each other either through AZP or maybe even personally, and she's been a supporter of the show for a while. A couple messages back and forth, and I don't really know how to pronounce that screen name, so I've asked for a phonetic. Oh my goodness, so many green hearts. Another Hylian Poke Nerd plus D&D plus MTG is the screen name of the person.
What is MTG?
For me, that means meeting. That's what MTG means in my calendar.
You read it. I'm going to try and think.
Another Hylian Poke Nerd plus D&D plus MTG. Oh my God. Finally, AZP is back from, what is this? This is a comment on over on, I think, Spotify for our Ocarina of Time 3D episode, which is, of course, was our first episode,
nice.
Kady, that we did coming back. Oh my God. Finally, AZP is back from break. I got the first comment of 2025. I love APP, another Pokemon podcast. Wait, what? I got the first comment of 2025. I love APP, another Pokemon podcast. Oh, comment on our thread in Spotify. I see. Another Pokemon podcast has also been doing quite well. I have another meeting with them in just a couple of weeks where we're discussing what we'll do in season 2. I'm so proud of them. They're doing such a great job. I talk about it all the time. The audio is so much better. What? Wait, let me read this correctly. I keep interjecting.
I grabbed this one because I thought it was funny.
Oh my God! Finally, AZP is back from break. I got the first comment of 2025. I love APP. Period. The audio is so much better. Did you guys upgrade mics? I love Zelda so much, and Ocarina of Time is the only Zelda game on Switch I haven't played yet. Ocarina of Time on Switch, sure. Probably the NSO. And I can't wait to play it on the Nintendo 64 emulator on Switch. Yes, that's the NSO service. I love this podcast so much. It's amazing. Best Zelda podcast ever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 times 4 rows. So roughly 80 green hearts. Thank you so much. Another Hylian Poke Nerd plus D&D plus meeting.
Only thing I could think of MTG standing for is Mind the Gap.
Is that a game?
No, it's just a saying.
Like when you're skateboarding, right?
Yeah, well, just in general, where you're Mind the Gap.
I see. I
think there's a card game called it.
Well, that one, Mind the Gap is a play on different ages, age gap, right?
Yeah.
And it's 4 different whatever.
We should play that.
Sure. Yeah, cool. Wait, are you Z?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm not quite alpha.
You're not quite alpha, and I'm still millennial, not quite
really
X. Yep.
Crazy.
I feel like maybe I've said this on the show before, but I'm the oldest you can be to still be in the millennial category.
So you're on that thin line where everyone says you're millennials say you're too Gen X to be millennial, and Gen X says you're too millennial to be a Gen X.
Yeah, I support my millennial category in that I lived in a world where there was internet, but there really wasn't internet, and then there was, and then there wasn't mobile internet, and then there was, and so I kind of went through that transition, and that's kind of the millennial experience, so I identify with that. But it's interesting, Matt Cunningham, my professor, who I've started to build a relationship with, he's not particularly older than me, just a couple years, but of course he's in the Gen X category.
Yeah.
Anyways, there it is. I just became Ian Malcolm for a second there.
No, it's okay.
What are you laughing about? You got a weird look on your face.
I don't know if I can say this. You can edit it out if I can't say this. But I was going to say, yeah, I'm a part of the Gen Z crowd. I lived in the era where the Twin Towers didn't exist.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
You didn't have the internet. I didn't have the Twin Towers.
Jeez Louise. Really, I get it. It's not even like, I know you're kind of chuckling right now, but
just because I don't know. I think it's kind of a goofy thing.
Well, and from your point of view, yeah, just to not have that experience.
Yeah.
Where I was 20 years old. I was working for Oprah. I was done with my first time going to college when that happened. We had to do many episodes for about 2-3 years interviewing survivors and stuff. It was very real.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not chuckling. It was not a funny thing. Just a funny brain thing.
Sure.
Of how different the world is.
Yeah, how different the world is, 100%. And there's really something to be said for that, to even consider that that for you, the 9/11 experience is history, not memory.
Yeah, it's to the point where sorry, we're talking about 9/11 now.
It's okay. A little bit. It's okay. We'll keep moving.
Yeah, it's to the point where we'll watch movies, like me and my friends that are my age, and we'll point out for when the movie is made, whether or not the Twin Towers are in it.
Sure.
But,
yeah.
Anyway.
And I think people my age do the same thing, but there's a very different emotion that's felt when you see them in an older movie.
Yeah.
Anyway,
last listener feedback. This one is a comment on Ocarina of Time 3D. So it's from mfran028. It says, "Hello, I live and work in Korea now and listen to your episodes as I walk to work.
Awesome.
So it is so nice to have y'all back. I was so interested to see the different takes on Ocarina of Time and how you guys played it differently. Age-wise, I'm right in between you guys at 33, so it's cool to compare all of our experiences. But I definitely lean more towards David. I don't blame you. However, I was 8 years old playing Ocarina for the first time. Laughing emoji. I think now I've played around 10 Zelda titles. Thank you so much. Greenheart XO, 4 times.
Oh, that makes me so happy. I love, love, love these comments about people in other countries. I guess anywhere technically, but I love to kind of vicariously live through them and kind of visualize them walking through their different environments. And the idea of them listening to us is such a cool little kind of handshake in my imagination. I just love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. 33 is almost exactly between us. I turned... Hey, did you know that I turned 44 2 days ago?
I did. I told you happy birthday.
Indeed you did. Yeah, you sent me a nice message.
Yeah, I turned 21 4 months ago.
You did indeed. And so 33 almost is exactly between us. That is a lot of fun. That's cool.
Sorry.
Oh, what do we got here?
Yeah, I said last listener feedback. I forgot I did have one more.
No, that's great. What the heck is this? This is a comment.
I would assume on Instagram.
This is an Instagram. Oh, it's just it was like a computer screen grab, not a cell phone screen grab. So it was a little bit longer or a little bit wider, literally. Okay. This is from Gilo Pablas, GILOPABLES over on Instagram. And they say, "Hello, so happy to have AZP back. Just finished Tears of the Kingdom." And then there was another message here. Oh, interesting. All right, cool. "Hello, AZP, David, Kate, Kady, team." So Pablo here has been listening for our entire library, which is really, really cool. "My name is Pablo. I'm a filmmaker from Mexico City. I'm a lifelong diehard Zelda fan. It has been at my side for me for 25 years, and we have never left each other's side. It's quite simply put, my game. I've played nearly all installments and have to say I'm generally inclined to favor the 3D ones. I started with Ocarina, and I think it says, gotten through all major releases. I have to say my favorite Zelda, favorite video game, and one of my favorite art expressions in general is the one and only Majora's Mask, which I feel needs more AZP love. It 100% does, Pablo. I've almost been a little scared to talk about it because it's almost like, how do you talk about it? Because it was one of the first Zelda games, a bit like Breath and Tears, where the way you play the game, because it's this time loop. A lot of people whatever little side quest paths they choose is different for everyone. So how do you really speak to the game? And also, I think in time, just literally, Kady, you and I have already discussed this, that once we choose to play majority, we set ourselves up with Ocarina of Time 3D episode on purpose so that we can move over to Majora's Mask. Maybe that's a season 8 thing. Maybe it's into season 7.
Yeah.
And we can speak to it. With that said, yeah, I think so. It's the best, most profound, heartfelt, creepy, and beautiful thing I've ever played. Pablo continues, I stumbled upon your podcast maybe 9 months ago. Oh, okay, interesting. Yeah, so Pablo did dig back into our library. And it became my very enjoyable morning routine as I binged nearly all episodes on my way to work again. I love this. Oh, man, I just love it. It's a fun, interesting, and lighthearted podcast, and I deeply recommend it to anyone with any Zelda itch with need of scratching. It's not every day that you stumble upon another Zelda fan, and listening to AZP makes you feel like part of a community. I loved the first steps, and I'm happy to see the way the team has grown and what AZP has become. Thanks for all the hard work. Keep it up. Cheers, Pablo. Green heart for Zelda, purple heart for Majora's Mask. Oh, Pablo, that's awesome. Thank you so much for those direct messages. That was a real treat. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've been actually playing a little bit of Majora's Mask. I'm not crazy far in it. I just finished the part where you rescue the 2 twin witches, and then you like do the little mission where you like ride around, and she's like has stuff that you shoot in the swamp.
So you have not yet found yourself doing the first temple, I think. There's a lot of pregame.
Yeah, I haven't done any temples yet. I've just been running around. I've been following the Zelda dungeon walkthrough. So
okay,
I was doing that for Wind Waker as well to make sure I get everything. I love them.
There are only 4 dungeons in Majora's Mask, actually. So it's
really
it's one of these games where because there's only 4 dungeons. Really there is. But because you spend so much time looping through, there's like so much space between the dungeons. I guess you're kind of experiencing it right now a little bit in that way. But anyway, Majora's Mask is wonderful. But if you take MM and you vertically flip them, you get WW and you get Wind Waker. How is that for a transition?
10 out of 10. Kady. 2 thumbs up.
What was Wind Waker like? What was Wind Waker like? So you're playing it on the Wii U. We've talked about this a little bit. I don't think you've played any games in the Toon style yet.
I have not.
And there's a whole category of them. I actually realized I kind of want to grab my Zelda encyclopedia that's next to me here on the shelf. So I'm going to get up and do that. But why don't you tell me and the audience what it was like turning that game on and what just even the first moments, because it is different than Ocarina of Time.
Oh my gosh, I love the art style in Wind Waker so much. I think it's super cute. I like the take on Link a lot. I've always taken more to the Links that have a lot of character thrown into them, and especially the ones that have a lot more like sass or laziness, I guess, to them. That's why I really like Link and Skyward Sword, and if I ever cosplay Link, I want to do the Skyward Sword Link. I love that. I love him so much. And also,
I mean, this is like the laziest of all lazy Links. This is the most unlikely hero Link we get, I think, in any Zelda game.
I knew I would really like this Link when it opened up with him like sleeping and like missing his ceremony and everything. And he's more upset that his sister wakes him up than anything else, which is the other thing. I love that he has a sister in this game. And also maybe it's because I'm a little sister to a big brother, but I'm a sucker for like the little sister, older brother dynamics in games. And I understand now why a lot of people from the fandom side of things, I started with Breath of the Wild, a lot of people would headcanon him with the little sister. Never understood where that came from until now I kind of understand why people thought that. But
this is the one. This is the game where he has a sister. This is the only game where he has a sister.
It's the only one?
Yep.
No kidding. Well, I like it. I like it a lot.
In fact, it was kind of a fun little twist because so often, in the games preceding Wind Waker, with the exception of Majora's Mask, almost all of them kind of were go get the princess. Mm-hmm. And so Wind Waker, right off the bat, it wasn't even necessarily go get the princess. It was just really go get your sister. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love Arl. Arl's her name. Mm-hmm. I like her a lot. I love the grandma a lot. Yeah. I like that when you leave, she becomes like ill, basically, because she's so worried for you. And you can like go and get her like a health potion or whatever and bring it back to her. And she's like, "Oh, Link, I've missed you."
You're playing the HD version, The graphics are slightly different than the GameCube version. The GameCube version was very flat colors.
Yeah,
and in the
it's
HD
very
version,
bright.
it's a little, you can see a little bit more curvature to the characters. They almost look more like maybe they're made of clay or something like that. But how did the graphics style, how did it present itself to you? How did it make you feel when you started playing?
It felt like I was playing, not in a bad way, saying like a kid game, but in a way that it made me very happy. Because everything was really bright, everything was super cute, but not in a way that threw me off, like the remake for Link's Awakening on the Switch.
Right.
I love, but it took me a long time to get used to it because the style really threw me off. This one I immediately jumped right in.
Yeah.
I think it's because it did remind me of like the old Wii games like Skylanders and stuff I used to play.
What? Skylanders, the little amiibo character things?
Yeah, where you would put them on the portal and they'd go into the game. Yeah. I was obsessed with that game as a kid.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was one me and my brother played all the time. And I actually, like a month ago, found on Facebook Marketplace, like, buy it and get a huge bag of Skylanders and everything with it. So I've been playing a little bit through that again. But
that, I mean, I think in history, that game, that Skylanders stuff was happening about a year or 2 or 3 after Wind Waker HD came out on the Wii U. So maybe there was a bit of taste there, a little bit of style happening. Of course, original Wind Waker was, a decade or so before that. Interesting. Yeah. Cool.
The music's
phenomenal.
The music is phenomenal.
It's not, from my memory, it's not that much different in the GameCube version and the Wind Waker version in that, maybe there are technical differences, but both were tremendously impressive.
That was specifically the first thing when I opened up the game and it starts with that little medley and everything. And also, isn't it that if you like wait on the screen for a while, it plays like the story of the world?
Yeah. It's like almost like an attract mode.
Yeah. Because I remember sitting and watching that as well, and really liking this kind of take on the story and art.
I just remembered something when I had Mallory Kuhn here almost a year and a half ago, sitting right there in that chair. We were doing a Wind Waker music episode, and she admitted that Wind Waker was her favorite Zelda game, certainly at the time and maybe forever. She said that she loved that opening song so much that sometimes she would just turn on the game for the title screen and let it and its history mode play in the background while she was like doing homework and doing other things just to hear the song.
I don't blame her. I loved it. That's what definitely my first impression was the music was going to be killer, which I would hope so because he's like a conductor in the game. Right.
Yeah. Little fun fact about Wind Waker. The conductor mechanic was coming hot off of, so in Ocarina of Time, you play an ocarina, and that was a ton of fun. They loved doing that. Majora's Mask, it's basically you're playing an ocarina. They riff on it a little bit in that you're playing other instruments, but the way you enter the buttons on the ocarina is the same.
Yeah, I like when you turn into the Deku and you play like a tuba.
The big, huge horns, all the horns come out. Yeah, and then with Majora's Mask, there's a few other instruments. There's a guitar and some drums and stuff like that. But with Wind Waker, the story goes that Miyamoto was considering I remember there was talk about like the next Zelda game you were going to, they were creating some kind of adapter that you would literally click into the Nintendo 64 controller or maybe eventually click onto the GameCube controller, wherever it's, a lot of Zelda games tend to start getting developed in one game cycle and then they end up coming out in the next game cycle. But, Miyamoto, I have read, was very excited about conducting something. He wanted to really do the conductor. And they had created an accessory that could get plugged into the GameCube and or Nintendo 64 that was essentially a wand.
That's so cool.
And that wand, they would feel if you'd go up, down, left, or right, and that's how they wanted it to be, I guess, performed.
Yeah.
The very fun behind-the-scenes fact about this, they ended up not going with the peripheral, because I guess there's probably just because it costs more. It's, if you don't have it, how do you play the game? And they decided to map it to the C-Stick. And actually, I wonder if as the game moved over to the GameCube, even though maybe it was always designed to be on the GameCube, and they had that C-Stick instead of the C buttons, which now you're familiar with the C buttons.
Yeah.
That felt a little bit more like a stick anyway and a wand. And so, by moving the C-Stick around, you moved Link's hand around. But the chip, the accelerometer that Nintendo was doing R&D on for this Wind Waker wand, they basically had kind of created a way to make an accelerometer, but they didn't really know what to do with it. Miyamoto was like, I think I want to put it in the wand for Wind Waker. It ultimately became the hardware inside a Wiimote.
That's what I was just about to say. It sounds like a Wiimote.
You were tracking that, yeah? So it was kind of funny. They were considering it to be a peripheral for Wind Waker. And then a couple years later, they had continued doing R&D on it, and it just became the Wiimote.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so cool. I love technology.
And so that's like the birth of the Wiimote actually is, to some degree, planted inside the Wind Waker development, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I like playing on the gamepad, though. I do think it's really fun being able to keep track of the same time the screen and also seeing all my items, my map. It's very helpful.
Oh, yeah, gamepad having that second screen, the inventory down there. Yeah, and also if you play with a Wii U Pro controller, you play normal style where it just pops up, the inventory pops up just like a pause menu on the screen. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the gamepad's nice. We can speak to that a little bit if you like. When you started playing, I don't know exactly how to ask this question because I think it's a leading question, but I'll ask it as a leading question, so it's a little bit of an unfair question.
Okay.
Because you might just be able to say yes or no to it. As you started playing Wind Waker, were you thinking to yourself, well, this isn't my Ocarina of Time?
No, I wasn't. It was a nice transition. I know normally that is my thing, you know. I'm like, oh. It helped though because I was more familiar with Wind Waker, I guess, because I was also watching one of my roommates at the time was playing through it because it was her favorite growing up. So I was like, I'm still working my way through Ocarina. You go ahead and play Wind Waker. I'll play it when you're done. So I was kind of able to see a little bit of how it worked, and I was familiar with, you know, the tune style, not only because of me just seeing the game, but also because of Smash Bros.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, that's right. We're in this whole world now where Steven spoke to this too. He knew certain characters. He knew of Sheik. And maybe you've told this story actually. Maybe I'm getting this confused. I think Steven knew about Ganondorf or something, like, because they would just be selectable characters in Smash.
I didn't even know Ganondorf was a Zelda character.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah, but yeah, so it was a fine transition for me. The controls, I don't know, it's, you know, you move from 3DS to the Wii U as you go up in as you go up in different things.
Yeah. Schrodinger's on the desk snoring away. That the mics may or may not be picking that up.
The controls are inevitably going to be better as you go up in things, or not always, but a lot of times. So, you know, a lot of things that I would have any issues with, I was able to do a little bit easier on the Wii U.
Well, in some ways, maybe you're speaking to the fact that even on the GameCube, this was the first Zelda game with actual camera controls.
That's the thing. You had the camera controls, which were still fine. The only thing that I still like struggle with a little bit, which isn't, it's not a bad thing, it's me just still needing to get used to it, is you have to get like right in the right angle before you press A to like shimmy across things, or you just will like jump off.
Really? I don't remember that being an issue. So wait. So because this was also, there was a couple new moves. Link got a couple new moves in this game. If we're tracking from Ocarina to Majora to Wind Waker, which from a development point of view, that was exactly the case. The Sidle or Saddle, Siddle, where Link is able to push himself up against a wall and walk along. That mechanic was mega hot in the early 2000s in all video games. I don't know why. Like God of War did it.
Oh, God of War.
Everyone was doing it.
Was obsessed
I don't know
with
why.
it.
I think I like it in Wind Waker. I don't think I have a problem. But is that what you're speaking about?
Yeah. No, it's not a problem at all. I think it's really fun, you know, going to different parts of the island. But like you have to get like just the right angle to get that Sidle button to pop up. Otherwise, it'll be to jump down.
Interesting.
And so I'll go up and press A, and then I'll jump down and be like, that is not what I wanted to do.
Oh, fascinating.
And same thing, you have to if you were asking, you know, how far I got in Wind Waker.
A little bit,
and I just got to the God Colosseum thing, where after you get all the pearls, like the big tower shoots up from the water.
Yes.
I just started doing that, but in that, you know, you have to pull the boxes sometimes to get them where you want. But same thing, you know, you'll be moving to pull the boxes and you hit A, but you're not actually holding the box, so you'll roll and you'll destroy the box. And I'm like, all right, time to leave the room and come back in so I can have that box again.
Yeah, so this is a perfect first impressions episode because you're kind of just cusping. You're just starting to play what would be like the third dungeon in the game. And I think it's kind of a fun little trick they play because you think the water dungeon is going to be that island.
Yeah.
And it's broken down. And secretly, the dungeon you're in right now, even though it's like the Goddess Tower, kind of is the water dungeon of the game. Maybe you can tell with all that water going up and down and the different kinds of waves and stuff like that.
I was like, I've seen this somewhere before.
Oh, by the way, I'm finally playing the Goron stuff in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm inside the fire dungeon now. And I've just started moving around and moving some of the tracks, and it reminds me, the fire dungeon in Tears of the Kingdom reminds me so much of the water dungeon in Twilight Princess that I had this moment, because like the water dungeon in Tears of the Kingdom, it was water dungeon-esque, but it wasn't super complicated or anything. And I had this moment that I wanted to share with you. It happened about 2 weeks ago, where I was like, okay, so I guess in Tears of the Kingdom, the fire dungeon is the water dungeon, meaning like this is the one that's super complicated that you have to like figure out the puzzle box dungeon, right? You know what I mean? Make sure all the tracks are in the right places and stuff like that. So anyways, I digress, but that was a fun little observation that I had. I'm still in the middle of that dungeon.
I felt the same way about, even in Breath, I felt like the fire dungeon was the most difficult one.
Yeah, the lizard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either that or the camel, but I digress.
Camel was a little tricky. I think for me, the elephant, which actually I think most people played first, and I also played first. The fact that you got to get out there on the trunk and stuff was kind of like, I was kind of like, am I cheesing the game? Am I supposed to be able to go out here? Is this okay? But of course you can. And anyways, I think maybe we should go to break soon. But with Wind Waker, there's no right or wrong answer here, but what are some of your first observations with the NPCs?
They have so much character, and it was really cool, especially when you go over to Windfall Island, and they all kind of have their own little lives that they're living and their own time of day that they do stuff. So, you know, you do the mission where you have to like sneak up on this guy and get a picture of him, but if he catches you, then he like stops for the day, and so you have to like play the little song of time or whatever, wait for the next night, and then you have to like sneak up on him right when he starts coming out of the house. It's really fun though. I love them all. I'm so happy you said that and recognized that, because this is, from a game design point of view, this is the birth, to some degree, the birth of, if the seeds in Majora's, in Ocarina of Time, I kept going back further and further and further. Oh, big old cat stretch. In Ocarina of Time, the NPCs basically just stand there. You're lucky maybe they spin. I was going to say, they do the little spin in We've definitely made that joke, and I love it. And so they have their lives in their one little spot. Yeah, okay, fine. Maybe, Malin kind of teleports around a little bit. Oh, now she's here. But basically, that's the NPCs. In Majora's Mask, all the NPCs move around and have their own little lives, because what they did was it's 3 days, and every single NPC is like hard-coded for what they do for those 3 days. And that was, I think, in some ways, Anuma's idea of like, well, I want these NPCs to feel alive. How the heck are we going to do this? Well, if it's only 3 days, we can literally program every NPC and where they walk and what they do. And we're going to do it with 30 of them or whatever. Maybe there's 30, maybe there's 40 in Majora's Mask, everywhere. And we're just going to program them. So maybe that was the birth of what we ended up seeing with NPCs and things like Breath of the Wild, and by extension, Tears of the Kingdom. Well, I would even say in Breath and Tears, they don't even do too much. I mean, you get those traveling traders every now and then, but you go into a town and a lot of them are kind of, sometimes they just hang out. There's like different tiers. So where I'm trying to go with this is Wind Waker, especially Windfall Island, was the first time in a Zelda game where they didn't necessarily hard code every single NPC's path, but they kind of gave them lives. They're like, yeah, this person tends to take a walk in the morning. They had more day modes and night modes, and characters would go inside at night and stuff like that. Or the hooligans that would run around up there that love you so much, that run around you. Yeah, like none of that's programmed. Or I mean, it is programmed, but it's like not AI programmed, but it's not hard paths mapped out like in Majora's Mask. And so I remember the first time I went to Windfall, I felt like, oh yeah, this place is so alive. Every single person there, I feel like, has their own little life, and I don't feel like I'm just watching like a pre-recorded enactment, which is how Majora's Mask feels, even though that was awesome. And then when you take what happens on Windfall Island or Wind Waker in general, and then you times it by 100, maybe even times it by 500, you get Breath of the Wild. You're right. Yeah. No, I love Windfall. I like the characters there a lot. I'm excited to continue this storyline with the teacher, because you have to give her like 50 joy pendants or whatever. So I've gotten like the first 1 or 2. I'm just waiting to collect enough to do the next part of her path. But it's really fun. I really like them all. I love the pirates a lot. I think they're very silly. Let's
I know
talk about that
technically you
next.
hosted us in, but I think this would be a great place to break because I want to talk about the pirates.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. I think I accidentally just took over hosting this episode by having us go to break here. I'm so sorry, Kady.
Do you want to go to break?
But I guess it's me asking you. There it is. Cool. We did it. Yeah, Kady. Oh, I'd love to. Gee, gosh, golly, I'd love to go to break.
Amazing. We'll see you all after the break. Hello and welcome back to another Zelda podcast. We are talking pirates.
Indeed we are.
We are talking pirates in Wind Waker.
Kady, I gotta ask.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Tetra?
She's Zelda, right?
I mean, we need to really, I mean, we usually go like, how do you feel about this character, that character when we do our review episodes? But how do you feel about Tetra? I'm not going to tell you if she's Zelda or not.
Okay, well, I think she's Zelda, but if she isn't, okay, whatever, because I still like Tetra a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very funny that these grown men listen to like a 10-year-old girl and that they call her Miss Tetra, and also that a lot of them simp over her. I think that's very silly.
Oh, interesting. I never really thought of that. You're right.
Yeah, I think it's very goofy. However, I have a lot of respect for Tetra. I like that she bullies Link around and that it feels a lot like she'll bully him and he'll stick his tongue out at her kind of relationship, which I like a lot. And also
kind of feels like she bullies him or pokes at him because she kind of knows she can or should or something like that, like he can take it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it feels like a hazing kind of thing.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, and I like that Link just kind of like fires back at her, kind of.
Because you can imagine a scenario where this is actually, if we're kind of going back to the beginning, you probably experienced... So you experience the story where they say 1,000 years ago there was another Link and all that. You know, this is a new Link, and this is the first game in the development series where they kind of started to address that. Guess what? It's not always going to be the same Link.
Yeah.
Did that make you feel weird about this Link?
No, I mean that's going into it. I already kind of knew that was a thing.
Right.
And it's how I always imagined all the games, except for obviously the direct sequels. I always liked the thought of like reincarnations or different universes with characters. So I have always been a very big fan of that, which is also why I'm like, is Tetra the Zelda of this game?
I see.
But I like it. I like Tetra a lot because she has, she's very bossy, but she's also just a very good captain where she will let her crew have the night off. She will help Link out.
Yep.
She will all this kind of stuff.
You probably got to that little moment. Yeah, I think you did if you're already at the kind of the water dungeon. I love when Link has to sneak in and she looks back and sees him and she knows that he was like listening, overhearing the conversation and stuff like that. I remember at this point in the story, I was kind of thinking like, I think she just like feels, I don't know if she like feels his energy, but it's almost like even though she doesn't know him, she knows that he can be more or do more or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. I don't really know how to explain it.
It really does feel like they, or at least from Tetra, she wants to partner up with him more and see like what they can accomplish together. Because she knows like they could make a really killer team. Which is why I think she also, she's hard on him, but she also has those moments where I think it's like you have to get there before the pirates do, and she knows that, and so she's like, hey crew, let's take the night on the island, we'll leave in the morning. And it's like forever night, so
oh right, yeah.
So that way Link is able to go and get the Jabu stuff.
That's
is that
right.
What he's
Jaboon
in this one?
Yes.
Jaboon. Which first off, why did I think I was going to do a temple or whatever? I come in, it's just a chill fish, and he's just like, hey yo, here you go, have a nice day. I loved that. I thought that was so funny.
When you find him in the back of Outset Island, right?
Yeah,
I think it's Outset in the beginning, yeah.
Outset Island. You just kind of blow it up, and then he's just sitting there, which he looks like an anglerfish.
Yes.
And he's just like, hey, here's a pearl.
Just gives it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a little, I remember the first time did you feel, I'm doing questions and it's cool if the answers are yes, no, or otherwise.
Yeah.
Some noted when they were playing the game, when this game first came out, that it was like, wait, I went to the island where there was going to be a dungeon and it was just a bunch of broken pieces. And then I went to the back of an island I've already been to and the fish just gave me the pearl. Was that off-putting to you or was that okay?
No, I thought it was funny.
All right, cool.
I like the humor in this game a lot. I feel like a lot of you can tell it's being very intentional. I was dying on the couch playing just before I came over here. When you do put all the pearls in and you put the last one in and like runs for the ship and nothing happens and he's like, maybe I gotta twist it or something. So he hops back up and then it explodes and he goes flying. So funny. I love it.
It's cartoon logic. It's cartoon logic on purpose. They even use that cartoon logic. One of the things I really loved in the beginning of the game, to get him into the Forbidden Fortress, she just shoots him out of a cannon.
Yeah.
And like if the only way that he survives that is cartoon logic because he shoots a half a mile away, he smacks into a wall and falls, and that is Looney Tunes. And if you did that in any other Zelda game, you couldn't. You know what I mean? Somehow the graphic style informs the style, which then informs some of the mechanics.
Yeah, I think that's why I've taken to Wind Waker a lot, is because it feels like canonical parody of itself sometimes, which I think is really fun and a breath of fresh air because I'll like even thinking on the way over, I was like going over Wind Waker and I was kind of getting my games mixed up a little bit where I was like, oh yeah, that thing that side quest when you carry the pumpkins is really hard. I'm like, that's Skyward Sword. And then I was like, oh, when you do this, that's Ocarina. So like trying to keep them all in my brain because I've been playing them back to back, and
kind of jumping around a little, but it's what happens. Sometimes I'll misremember a dungeon from one game being in a different game. Anyways.
So it was nice. It's kind of like a little bit of a breath of fresh air between the games because a lot of the games take themselves relatively seriously.
I see.
All of the Zelda games have some humor to them, which is always really nice. But this is the one that's like, this feels like a parody of the stuff that I've been playing in like a really good way.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to keep playing and see like what more crazy things they do to kind of stick with the same story as but subvert expectations.
The graphic style of Wind Waker was birthed from two events or points or things that happened. There was probably a lot more to it than this, but two of the things that informed the style of Wind Waker as it was being developed were that, again with Miyamoto, they were just starting to design a system in any engine, but we'll say the engine, where Link was able to notice things and look at things. That doesn't happen in Wind Waker, or doesn't happen in Majora's Mask, and doesn't happen in Ocarina. Link just kind of stands there in his idle pose no matter what. And it's so interesting because now, 20 years later, 30 years later, that is such a staple in all video games that the characters kind of look and notice things as they're walking past them in any video game, not just Zelda games. And so Miyamoto was really excited about having Link literally look around and look at stuff. He's even said in interviews that he was like, we realized we could even use this as a game mechanic where if you kind of wanted the player to pay attention to maybe a switch or a thing, Link would kind of notice it and kind of look at it. It might be an indicator. So instead of having to make the switch big and yellow and glowing, you could just have Link's eyes look at it.
I've noticed that while playing, and it has pointed me in the right direction a few different times.
Then what happened was they liked this whole thing of Link looking at the stuff that Miyamoto wanted his eyes to be humongous, to have it really be telegraphed about where he's looking and how he's reacting. So then they kind of decided to go with a huge head. And then they kind of decided to have it be kind of cartoony style. And there was a bunch of drawings and renderings. And there was one day where a certain artist drew the style we know now with the huge kind of I don't even know, avocado shaped eyes. I don't even know what to call them. And apparently Miyamoto was like, yes, I love it. And it's really cool because even we were talking about the sidle earlier, when you're up against the wall and you're walking, like Link's eyes will move.
He looks nervous.
Do you ever do the thing where you just kind of tap the control stick and you can just get him to look back and forth? Like,
yeah.
And then secondly, so then that's when they were going to take a huge departure from the normal graphics of Legend of Zelda. I almost said Twilight Princess because that was one that came out later. But then secondly, I think Enuma was really excited about making kind of an open world. And really, Wind Waker is the first actual open world Zelda game.
Really open world.
I think you could debate that the original Nintendo game also is technically open world, and I would agree with that debate. But as far as like 3D games or where we were at the time, it's the first game. Once you get on an island, you might load in and out of different buildings or whatever. But in the overworld, those islands they stream load. as you get closer to them. You know, it's loading in the background. The software is loading in the background to get more and more detail. And you just roll up on these islands. It's smooth as butter. And there they are all of a sudden there'll be a little thing in the distance. By the time you get to them, they are a fully realized level, which is awesome. However, in the GameCube days, the GameCube didn't have enough processing power. It was a very strong machine for its time, but it didn't have enough power to render an ocean for miles.
Yeah.
And all the little waves and graphics that would happen. So they realized that they could cheat, and if they use this cartoonish style, they could basically just have a bunch of weird little white crests going around, and they wouldn't have to pump a bunch of power into rendering all the foam and all the things. And honestly, every single piece of foam and splash that happens on the ocean, they're just two textures repeating that just layer over each other. There's a whole thing. They just do an additive layer. It's awesome. It takes almost no processing power at all. So Miyamoto wanting to have Link be super expressive, and perhaps Enuma, perhaps others wanting to try to do a proper streaming open world. Like they weren't going to be able to do land like Breath of the Wild. It was going to take a couple generations before a system was strong enough to do that. So there was just going to be disparate islands, and basically from a coding point of view, a lot of blue. And that's what led the aesthetic choice. How does that make you feel?
Good. I got a lot of info dump, but I think it was really interesting to find out about. I think the way they did it was super smart. And I, like I said before, I'm obsessed with how expressive Link is in this game. Because even if you think I guess in Breath, he does have some expressive moments, but Link has always been more of a stoic character until when Waker comes. He's very overly expressive. Then Skyward comes after Wind Waker, right? In release order?
Absolutely. It goes, Wind Waker, Twilight, which is the same engine, and then Skyward was the next one.
Yeah, because then you go to Skyward from what I've played, because I haven't played Twilight yet. And he's very expressive in that game as well. It's just they've toned down the cartooniness a bit of it.
Yeah.
So it feels like they went full on in Wind Waker, and then they decided, you know what, we like the expressive Link. We're going to keep that, but, depending on the style, kind of draw it back a little bit.
It's a little bit of a pendulum swing. When they were making Wind Waker, they made a strong choice with the art style. I didn't love the Wind Waker art style when I first started playing. It took me like one dungeon. By the time I kind of got through Dragon Roost Island, I was like, no, this is brilliant. This is a real Zelda game, and all this stuff. And actually, the fact that sometimes there's colors that blend in with each other, I thought it was so cool. So I quickly turned, but I was a little nervous in the beginning. I was kind of like, I don't know, is this even what we're looking for? So they made a strong choice. Twilight Princess is a hard pendulum swing to the other direction.
That's the thing.
Almost, for the time, almost photorealistic graphics for the time. The characters are still kind of interpreted in a certain way, but for the time, it was like, oh, it looks like reality. And then the pendulum swung to the middle for Skyward Sword, where they did light cell shading.
Yeah, kind of an anime-esque style for it.
I agree. And I think that also Link's kind of depiction does that as well. Link is mega stoic in Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
He has some emotion in some of the cutscenes, but then, Skyward Sword Link kind of drops in the middle here. But Wind Waker Link is like full on going like zoinks and like jumping and,
I like when his eyes like almost bulge out of his head. So funny. Yeah, I am very excited to play Twilight though because of that. I like any game that has a very strong visual choice to it.
Yeah.
Which is why I really took to Wind Waker, because that was a very strong choice in the art style. And then I'm also really excited for Twilight because it's another very strong choice.
It was. Yeah, it was. It is. I think I'm going to ask that don't dip into Twilight until we proper choose to play it.
Oh, yeah,
if you don't mind. Because I think you have it loaded on your Wii U, right?
I have it on Wii, yeah.
I have it on my Wii U as well. Or Wii? You have the original Twilight Princess on your Wii?
I think so.
Either way, we'll figure it out. But when we do that one, let's play it together.
I would love that.
You know what I mean? Kind of at the same time. Kind of like I'm doing Phantom Hourglass right now for a review episode.
I have... I'm playing through Wind Waker, obviously. That's why we're here today. Playing through a bit of Majora's I need to get back into. But I did find Phantom Hourglass for real cheap on Facebook. So cool. I'm going to dive into that after I finish Wind Waker.
I think that would be perfect.
Yeah.
I'm like 3 dungeons in Phantom right now. And so we're definitely going to do a review episode of Phantom Hourglass. Ironically, maybe before we do a proper review episode of Wind Waker.
Yeah.
But at least we're doing this first impressions one here. Let's see. A few other things. What are your thoughts on the big old bird?
Big old bird.
Yeah, I wanted to keep it vague.
Talking about Dragon Roost Island? What?
I don't know.
What? What's the big old bird?
Well, technically, he's called the Helmarock King. I actually just looked down at my Zelda encyclopedia to get that name.
You got the picture of him? Who's the big old bird? I'm blanking. That dude?
It's the big old bird that steals Errol in the first place.
Oh, yes! Okay, that's why I was forgetting, because I think that's the only time I've seen him so far.
Oh, really?
Isn't it? When have I seen him again?
Well, maybe it's coming up. Eventually, you battle the big old bird. Oh, I know when it happens. Yeah, you're not there yet.
I was like, I don't know, it's a bird that takes Arl.
Took Errol, and who cares after that?
It's a plot device, I guess. I don't know.
Got it. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about where you're at in Wind Waker right now. You are really in the meat and the potatoes of the game right now. This is where and then a little bit after this is where the game really shines, in my opinion.
I really like it. I love the Korok Forest. I love that so much. Or the Forbidden Forest.
How'd you feel about the Deku Tree looking the way it looked?
Dude, I like him a lot. He's cool. I like the Koroks a lot. I've always been a fan of the Koroks, but they just have so much character, and you get the Korok leaf that you're able to glide around in, which we talked about our transportation
100%.
episode. Amazing. And gosh, I have to look at what his name is. Makar.
Yeah.
I really like Makar.
Wait, you've met Makar already?
Oh, is he not? Who's the Deku that has the violin?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do meet him
from
the temple.
That's right. I think he comes back around later.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm excited to see him again because I liked grabbing him and bringing him out, and then I loved the song that he played. It's so pretty with all the Koroks singing.
Yeah, it was cool. You're absolutely right. I actually pulled up the Great Deku Tree right now on Zelda Encyclopedia, and I can't discern right now, but I think there's a couple theories that it might be the sprout from Ocarina of Time is kind of the idea.
Which I would agree with, especially because you have that side quest in Wind Waker where, every year the Koroks spread out and they drop seeds from the Deku trees to try and grow new ones. And you're able to go around. You have like a time limit to go to all these different islands and spread the water around them all. I really like doing that. I thought that was cute.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Cool. Well, yeah, with your best item ever of the fast sail thing.
I know it's called Wind Waker.
I love it.
Because you're supposed to wake the winds to sail. But I like going speedy fast. It's great.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I use.
Absolutely. So what do you think is happening in the tower you're in right now? The Tower of the Gods. Secretly the Water Temple.
According to the King of the Red Lions, it's to test my courage to see if I'm worthy.
Actually, I forgot to ask you about the King of Red Lions. Thoughts on the boat?
I love that boat. I love that guy.
Yeah?
He's also a silly, goofy guy, and it's also probably because I'm a really big fan of the game Grumps, and they made a song for Wind Waker, where the whole thing is like the boat being like, you need a toothbrush and this thing and this thing and this thing, and the whole thing is like you have to go around and you grab all this like stupid stuff. It's really funny. I was listening to it on repeat while I was like going around and doing like little things on all the islands.
Do you have any thoughts as to how or why or how the boat exists or where it came from? It's okay. Again, I'm just having fun right now.
Again, a theory of mine. Tetra Zelda. My other theory is that the King of Red Lions, due to like the way the hair and stuff looks, is that he is like King of Hyrule, old King of Hyrule, something like that. Because he looks like the king in Breath of the Wild to me a little bit.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, he's fascinating character. That boat.
He whips his head around.
He's got that face going all the time.
Do you miss Epona? It's okay if you don't. I don't think I did.
Epona didn't talk to me and make silly little bits.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love me a good horse, but I don't know how good a horse would do in the ocean.
Well, I agree. Basically, the boat is your horse in this. You know what I mean? They even kind of have it be the same color, actually, as Epona, if you think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of that burnt amber kind of, wood color. Have you done much like treasure hunting? You go around, dropping the fishing and all that stuff off the boat and all that?
Yeah. I mean, every Zelda game I'm in, I like to complete the map before I really dig into the game.
Yeah.
So I've been going around again. I filled out everything in the map except for I didn't get the fish yet for the tower I'm in right now because you have to wait until you do that to get the fish for it to mark it. But my map, other than that, is completely filled out. I've done almost all of the treasure hunting stuff, the maps. And I had to take a break because I really hate slide puzzles, but I'm almost done with all the slide puzzles in like the one manor that you can go to.
Yeah, over on Windfall Island, I think, right? No, wait, what?
No,
slide puzzles, like the little. It's isn't that the one with the guy with the ships? Nope. Okay, you tell me.
So there's like a island you can go to that's like a resort looking thing.
Yes.
And you can get the house basically.
Yes.
And you have a cardboard butler that talks to you, and he says some really weird things, but he'll like give you tons of rupees for completing the slide puzzles there, and they're of different characters. So I think the first one's of Arl, then there's one of Tetra, then there's one of the boat game guy. I really don't like slide puzzles. They frustrate me. So I will do like a couple, and then I'm like, okay, I need a break, and I'll come back to this to finish it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
One of the things that we've talked about in this game is that it didn't have a full physics engine the way like Breath of the Wild does, running off, I don't know, Havoc or whatever it runs off of. But there are moments in rooms where they run physics on certain items. So like, when you hit the bridges, they kind of pop and break a little bit, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
The vines will blow with the wind and stuff like that. And there's certain times where physics very much play in this game. With that said, I'd like to ask you, how do you feel about the kind of this game's version of the hook shot?
Oh yeah. I think it's fun. I think it's, it feels easier than a lot of the games. You just kind of hit it out and it just kind of, you get there.
Yeah, right. This was one of the first times where it was like, oh, context sensitive. You aim until it goes ding, and then you can get it. I guess the boomerang works that way too. But I guess the boomerang kind of did that in Ocarina of Time, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, click, 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 click. You would ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, I do. If I could change anything about the boomerang, I would love if I could click to make it go on the ones I want, because you'll just look around and it's
hold and look, I think, right?
Not even. You just pull it up and then you like will look around and it'll just latch onto anything it can.
Yeah, okay.
Immediately.
Okay, yeah.
So sometimes
because you're using the motion controls of the gamepad, which is not in the GameCube version.
Yeah, so sometimes, like just today I was playing and a group of choo-choos popped up. The electric ones where you have to hit them with the boomerang and then you can hit them with your sword, otherwise they electrocute you.
Yep.
So I popped it up to like look around, and the first thing it ended up latching onto the other ones, but the first thing it latched onto was a statue. So I threw my boomerang, hit the statue, nothing happened.
It goes king.
So I was like, I would love if I could choose not to hit that, but I get that it's part of the game.
Yeah, fascinating.
I do like using it in it's not like a hard kind of mini boss, but doing it when the seagulls are circling and you can go and there's like that big ocean monster that pops up.
Yes.
And you have to like hit the eyes on it. I do like that a lot. I think those are fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Have you talked to any frogs yet or anything?
Talked to any frogs? I don't think I've talked to any frogs.
Okay. Yeah.
I talked to a fairy. I thought she was cool. She's like otherworldly.
Different kind of look, right?
Yeah.
They're kind of cool looking, I think.
Yeah.
We really should do a Great Fairy episode once we get through all the games, because they are depicted. There is a broad spectrum as to how the Great Fairies are depicted in these games.
I love the Great Fairies. I like her a lot in this game. I think she's really cool looking.
Yeah.
My old roommate that was playing, she said that this fairy she thinks is the scariest fairy. Scares her a lot. I disagree. I think Ocarina of Time has the scariest fairies.
It's quite the howl.
I don't like their shriek. I used to play Ocarina. I would do a dungeon every night before bed, and whenever I would find a fairy, I would like get goosebumps in the middle of the night. I'd be like looking around. I did not like their design personally, the cheetah print and everything. But this one is cool. It really feels like an alien from another world.
Yes. Yeah. I thought that was a really neat take, a very interesting twist, because the Great Fairies in Majora is basically the same models as Ocarina. So this was like the first time we're seeing another version. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, one of my favorite renditions might be the Minish Cap Great Fairies on the Game Boy Advance. Very, very cool. But anyways, they go through all the different spectrums, all the way up to Breath of the Wild, where they're coming out of their huge pods, which is kind of like an amalgamation of a lot of the different fairies, in my opinion, which is kind of cool. But okay, cool. So you haven't talked to any frogs yet.
Oh, we didn't talk about the Rito.
Yes, this is the introduction of the Rito. Let's do it.
Oh, I like I'm looking at her name right here, Medley.
Yep.
I thought she was really fun. She's really cute. I like their design a lot. It's very interesting where they're like humans or
Yeah, I mean basically they're humans with like duck beak noses.
Yeah, they got like beaks,
the beaks of their noses,
some wings, and like a tail.
Yeah.
But I like that. Isn't it that you have to get the dragon scale in order to like fly or something?
The dragon scale.
I think that's what it is. But because of that, like she will accompany you, and you. I think this is the game. You like pick her up and you throw her, and she like tries to. She can fly like a little ways.
That does happen, but I don't think you're there yet. If you're doing have you played that yet?
I had to play it. It was like the second dungeon to get a pearl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure I'd go back, but
Medley plays a role of more important role, and I'm misremembering a little bit.
Okay, well, I'm excited.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, the dragon scale, yes, and she kind of it's a little bit like almost the chicken mechanic too, a little bit. Yeah, like you're flying, you're throwing these people. This is the inception, the origin, the first time the Rito were ever invented at all. What are your thoughts on how do you feel about how they look in Wind Waker, which is where they were literally designed and created? To how does it make you feel about Breath of the Wild's interpretation of the Rito?
Mm-hmm. Breath of the Wild is still my favorite interpretation of the Rito because I understand the choices that they made and why they changed the look from Wind Waker. Was because when I went, in Wind Waker, I'm like, this just looks like Highland with a beak and whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel like they acknowledged that, and in order to make it so it was very like, these are the distinct different races.
Yeah.
They changed them to be full bird when it came to Breath. So it was very much, these are their own species. But that being said, I do think it's really fun because from a Wind Waker standpoint, you can be like, okay, maybe these people evolved to have these bird-like aspects because of the floods and everything, that they're able to fly around and be above everything.
Well, you're right. You might recall that allegedly most of these Rito were Zora.
They were?
Yeah. We've mentioned this once or twice.
I did not recall that.
It's okay.
So there goes my theory.
No. I love it. The lore goes that when in Wind Waker, there is no link. Ganon, broad strokes. Ganondorf attacks from the desert, whatever. There's no link to save the day.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's been 100 years, 1,000 years, whatever. The goddesses choose to basically kind of rain fire. Oh my gosh, Schrodinger's bumping his head on your mic. Rain fire from Avengers, and they just flood all of Hyrule so that Ganondorf can't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the disparate people live above.
Which honestly, such a Kady move, but I love it for them.
And then what happened was so many people. Then they took the Zora and through maybe the means of magic evolved them into the Rito in Wind Waker. And a lot of times people make jokes. I have made these jokes myself about like, really? So the Rito or the Zora evolve in the fish people.
I was just gonna say that.
The fish people.
They're the only
once
ones.
The entire world is actually water, they evolve away from being fish into birds.
They would have been living their best lives.
Right.
It was. You know what the real reason is? It's because the goddesses didn't want them to have Hyrule either.
You are 100% right. So so the lore has matured a little bit now, where the logic is such that, I mean, this is classic Nintendo Zelda, where like really they design stuff first and then try to connect the dots. 100% of the time, Zelda lore is just retcon connecting the dots. Maybe not 100% of the time, but maybe 70% of the time, and 30% of the time is something that's designed, and that's okay. That's part of the fun. But what also is part of the fun is then subscribing to the yes and of some of these crazy lore things. So with that said, there's a little modification. It's not that the Zora biologically evolved into bird people. It's that the goddesses kind of zip, zap, zopped that and sped the thing along a little bit because they didn't want the Zora to be able to go down and see Hyrule and get Hyrule under the water. That's what the Hyrule that was flooded. They didn't want anybody going down there, so you can't have fish people So let's turn them into bird people because at least they can go from island to island.
I don't know. That's my reaction to that. I don't know.
It's kind of my reaction to that.
It's less of like a I don't like it or less of like a it's more just okay. Sure, Nintendo.
Sure, Nintendo. Yes, exactly. But one thing I think that we can speak to that you've been kind of speaking to a little bit, even by accident, is how even if a little bit like how the Gerudo came in Ocarina of Time and they were refined, the Rito are introduced in Wind Waker and then they were kind of refined for Breath of the Wild. I also realized that even the Zora in Breath of the Wild are more fish-like than the Zora in Ocarina of Time. Because the Zora in Ocarina of Time like kind of just have the big alien heads with kind of tails on their heads, but the Zora, even though they look very similar, there's a more variety in Breath of the Wild of the different
they make the different
species of fish and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, so the Rito, that's why the Rito are a little weird.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. You were introduced to them in Breath of the Wild. You're just like, well, here's the bird people.
Yeah. I was just like, the bird people are here. I didn't realize it was like the fish, then the half bird, half Hylian people.
When Breath of the Wild came out, there were many people going like, wait, how do we have the Zora and the Rito at the same time? The Zora turned into the Rito.
That's what I was just going to say. But I guess it's like a different time or different universe depending on what theories you subscribe to. So they can do whatever they want. But.
Yeah, I agree. We'll see where that goes. But yeah. So, I mean, the Rito are, I think they're kind of fun. They're kind of cute. I remember the aesthetic kind of creeped me out a little with the huge eyes and the beaks, but I think Medley's wonderful. I also think it's kind of interesting because then the Rito are like, I think the mailman's a Rito, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And so the
idea
is
they can fly to island.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. No, I do like the Rito's place in the world. I like the place that they live a lot. Just the fact that they are messengers in this world, that's kind of like the role that they play, because it's where they can get the most work. I don't know, I feel like the world has been very fleshed out and thought of with every little thing of like, okay, this is the world, what are these different characters and different races going to be doing, and which ones are we going to bring into this game to satisfy those different needs, whereas then you finally get to Breath, and it's like, okay, we've decided that these are going to be our core races. And I'm excited going forward, seeing if they kind of stick with the main 5 races, and then also like the Koroks on top of that, making like a 6.
I just realized something as we were talking about it. In many ways, Wind Waker they introduced the Rito, cool, but they really nerfed all the other ones. There's like a single Goron, that the Zora aren't even there.
I don't think the Gerudo are there either.
I don't think I've ever interfaced with a Gerudo. Right, because he comes from a desert in game. No Gerudo, and even the Kokiri get turned into Koroks.
Yeah.
So they really patted those cultures down, or those races down for some reason, for one reason or another. I don't really know. But then they invented the Rito, and then it all comes from there. How do you feel? I want to ask one last question, then maybe we'll get going here. What's your interpretation of Ganondorf so far? I don't think you've interfaced with him too much yet. Maybe a couple times.
I don't think I've really. I could be misremembering. I don't think I've really talked to him at all.
I don't think Link has talked to Ganondorf yet.
Yeah, so I don't really have. This is so funny. I don't really have any thoughts on him yet, but the only thing I can ever think of is there's a meme where it's like, I'm guessing the final battle with Ganondorf, and he's like coming to attack Link from behind, and it's Link taking a selfie with like a face.
Oh yeah,
that's all I can think of is that meme.
You know what? I think there's a camera mechanic in certainly Wind Waker HD. There's a camera mechanic, and maybe they even did the selfie version in that one. I think there was a camera in the GameCube one. Okay, sure, that's funny.
I'll have to show it to you after this. But I don't think I've I could be wrong, but I don't think I've interacted with him at all.
One thing that I enjoy, I don't think this is spoilery, and I don't think I'm giving too much away, but I'd like you to consider as you're playing Wind Waker that my observations as I played Wind Waker were that the Ganondorf in this game might have a little bit of magical prowess, but basically is just a dude.
Which I like. I like that a lot. I just really enjoy the lore behind Ganondorf. I like it a lot. I know a lot of it is retcon stuff, but just the thought that every 100 years there's a male Gerudo that's born. He has the one Triforce within him, and then there's like this endless battle. And spoke about it before. However, I would love to see one day, even though they probably will never do it, a take where that one Gerudo that is born is not evil, whether or not that they make that link, whether or not it's just a good Ganondorf for once and there's another evil where they have to all team up together. I would love that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's cool. I think that's great. I could be mistaken. I'm not diving into my encyclopedia right now because we're about to end this episode. But I think that this is a different Ganondorf. The Ganondorf from Ocarina of Time, I think, travels along the Twilight Princess timeline path. And I think Wind Waker's a different one. So I think this is a new Ganondorf.
He does resemble... you can tell that they wanted to keep a little bit of continuity between Ocarina of Time.
Like a strong nose, but it's like a bigger brow kind of thing.
Yeah, the clothes are like the same kind of color. They just kind of changed it to like a robe.
There are... Ganondorf is ferocious in moments in this game, but some of my main takeaways is there's times where he interfaces with Link and like I guess I'll just keep it kind of vague like that. Like is just a dude.
Yeah.
And like has maybe this Ganondorf in some ways has the most, dare I say, seems the most considerate, not kind.
I was going to say the most human.
Perhaps, yeah, maybe the most motivation of other Ganondorfs. And so as you continue to play, I'd like to see if that... It was something I didn't realize until years after playing the first time. I was kind of like, that Ganondorf was really actually kind of, just a guy. Yeah, fine. To say just a guy isn't quite right because he did want to take over Hyrule.
Well, yeah.
And then, from the desert and stuff like that. But I don't know. Just consider that as you move forward.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally meet him.
I will also, I think this is not spoilery at all. This is the only Ganondorf, and I know this isn't spoilery because there's a twist. This is the only Ganondorf not to turn into Ganon.
I have kind of been spoiled, I guess, but this is because even before I played this game, I kind of knew. I do know the ending.
Didn't you and I watch it together at Zelda Dungeon?
We watched it at Zelda Dungeon, yeah. Of how, Link kills him, which I'm excited to do myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, great. Any other major takeaways as you're playing? You're playing with the Wii U. You're using the nice dual screen controls. You're flipping your items in and out. Probably no big deal there.
Yeah, it's so nice. I feel like it's very user friendly on the Wii U. I feel like they put a lot of effort in to see what people's critiques were with the original version and see, okay, what can we do that isn't game breaking to put on the Wii U to change the interface to make it more user friendly, which is where you get, the faster sail, you get where you can play with the gamepad so you don't have to constantly be pulling up your inventory, all this different kind of stuff. So I give kudos to the Nintendo team because it felt like they put a lot of time and effort into the remake.
Yeah, and it was a third party that did it, kind of like how Grezzo did Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. I don't remember their name right now. It's like Trello or something like that. They did the Wind Waker HD and then the Twilight Princess HD because it was basically a variation of the same engine. And they might have deep cut here. I think they then went on and made. Oh, I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. Do not put this into Wikipedia if it's not there. But I think they went and made the Zelda Twilight Princess Picross game for the 3DS.
What's Picross?
Ooh, Picross? I call it Picross. I'll show you later. It's a Sudoku style game.
Oh, okay.
Mario Picross? Ooh.
No.
Oh, all right. I'll introduce you to it sometime. But anyway, it was like a Nintendo, a download exclusive Nintendo Club, 1,000 points. I have it on my DS and stuff like that.
That's so cool.
But I digress. Okay. Well, all right. Any other closing statements as far as like what you've been experiencing so far?
No, I'm just excited to play more.
I think for me, when I played it the first time, what my first impressions were the first time was I trusted Nintendo. I wasn't an immediate fan of the graphic style, but also I was the age where I was like, I was kind of like 19, 20, and I wanted my video games to be really super cool and gritty. And I was already out of college, actually, so maybe I was even early 20s. And it was during a time in the early 2000s where a lot of things were gritty and everything was...
I mean, it was the time of God of War. And
God of War, all the superheroes wore black leather. Nobody, you know what I mean? It was like...
there was no jokes.
Yeah, right. And so it was a departure, but I do remember very quickly, even on Dragon Roost, even by the time... I remember like jumping into the water and seeing the physics look good and seeing, even though the graphics were simple, it all felt like smooth butter. And I very, very quickly fell in love with the game. And so that was my first impressions of Wind Waker as well. And I also, I think 50% of people seem to feel this way. 50% of people seem to feel the opposite. But I also very much enjoyed the graphic style of the Wind Waker HD edition. They made a couple little changes. There's like an actual lighting engine in it. There's actual ambient inclusion and stuff like that that's happening. But I liked it.
Yeah,
that's where we're at.
Awesome.
So when you're done playing, maybe at the end of this season, we've got another 15 episodes to this season. We'll see where I like to space out our review episodes. Maybe we'll save it for next season or not. We'll do a proper, once you get all the way to the end, we'll talk about everything. We'll do our thing where we talk about all the characters for real. We'll do the thing where we talk about every single dungeon. And at that point, because like I said, I'll put it this way, you're in my favorite parts of this game right now.
Yeah, I hear that the last half can get a little sparse.
Depends on what you like. I mean, you're a completionist, so maybe you're going to love it.
Yeah, maybe.
Honestly,
Yeah. No, I'm keeping an open mind. I think I'll enjoy it.
Super cool.
David, if they want to find you other than here, where can they find you?
The listeners can find me on the internet almost anywhere at Raptor Paint. Super simple. Raptor Paint on all the socials. And I think that's it. I don't even have a personal website right now. I actually stopped it for a while.
I just did too with my own.
Did you stop yours? You did a website shout out in the most recent episode, but we recorded that like 2-3 months ago.
Yeah, I didn't have the money to keep paying for Wix premium to keep that up, so she's on pause for a minute.
I hear you. I made the same choice because I ended up spending that money on a 6.5 sites instead of my personal site.
Nice.
And do not underestimate the power of a service called Card, CARRD.com. I think they're kind of like super Linktree.
Oh,
so it's like imagine Linktree, but if you could actually do a little bit of design.
Okay.
This should be a paid promotion. I've learned from Podcast Movement, but this is not a paid promotion. But it's a handy dan. It also has a pay model, but it's non-pay model. It's a good way to get some links and some assets and stuff on a quick oneer.
Nice.
Anyways, I'm just saying this to you. Literally, I know we're on air, but like just as a friend, like maybe consider that.
Yeah,
too.
No, that's cool.
Where can people find you, Kady?
If you want to find me, I also did just change my handle recently, but I think if you put in my old handle, it'll probably still come up. My Instagram is now Kady Stargazer, like the letters K and D. You can find me there. You can also find me now on TikTok, Kady Stargazer as well.
Wow. So I can start replying you in the AZP TikTok.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Please do. And then potentially on weekends, you can listen to me on Rock 95.5 on the iHeartRadio app. That's Central Time, folks. When I have an actual schedule, it will be up on my Instagram.
Oh, that'd be so much fun.
Yeah.
That'd be so much fun. What is it in? I know we're about to go, but like, what does it entail? Is it music, and then you're hosting the betweens and stuff like that? Yeah,
it's mainly rock music. I don't have too many crazy talk breaks, but it is just me. It's my own show. I am a nerd, so I talk a lot about different video game stuff, movies, some Chicago news, but I kind of keep that a little sparse. So, just some small bits, mostly rock music. So if you're into that.
I think it would be totally acceptable for us to, through the AZP, throw you, whenever you're streaming sometime, if you kind of know a couple days ahead of time, let me know, and I'll throw an AZP tweet out to the link, at least to the iHeart app, because I did that for I did that for the Artificial Podcast when it was on WCRX, so people could at least listen on like the streamer thing. Yeah. So let's take care of that later, but that'd be a lot of fun. I think it's super cool that you're doing this. How do you feel about it? Are you scared? Are you excited?
Oh, no, I love it.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working there for a while. And then for like the last 6 months, I've been working with the morning show and Maris on the morning show, who does the board and also talks. He's been super great with whenever possible showing me how to do stuff, how to run things. So when I was able to, finally get thrown in to the deep end, which was a weird situation because I went in to talk with the head guy who runs Rock, just thinking we were going to talk about a demo I sent him, and it was just me walking in. He's like, so when do you want to start doing on air? You want to do this weekend?
Holy moly. Like, did you even know all the levers and the buttons?
Thankfully I did, because I had that training ahead of time, but he asked me, he's like, how much training have you had? I'm like, oh, I've had so much training.
And you did on air WCRX, I think, at Columbia, right?
I did. Yeah, they run on a completely different operating system though.
Okay.
But
I guess to that point, at least I'm returning this into a different show right now. We'll get going, but to that point, you were able, at least you knew in your brain like how to like build.
I knew the clock. I knew how to build a show, all that kind of stuff, and the way that they run the board and everything is very intuitive. So after being shown a couple times, I wrote some notes down. So then I was ready. I wasn't nervous at all, because this is just for anyone out there. When you do something new, don't be nervous to make mistakes, because so long as you can laugh it off, it'll be fine. People either won't notice or they'll think it's goofy. And if they do notice, who cares? It's funny. You're learning. So.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So I think like I did my first show, I like talked in the wrong place. And so I went to hit for like the next song to start, and a commercial started instead over my voice. I just, turned my mic off and just started dying laughing. Yep. You just got to be able to laugh at yourself. It's fine.
Cool. That's awesome. I'm so excited about that journey for you. And so our next episode actually for AZP is going to be, what are we doing? We're doing top 10 silly ways to attack. It's quite the title. Top 10 silly ways to attack a boss.
Yeah. Goofy boss fights.
Goofy boss fights, anything. It could be anything from pulling a dragon's tail on Dragon Roost Island. Who knows what we're going to come up with, but it's going to be a top 10. So I'm going to do 5. You're going to do 5.
Yeah.
And we'll take it from there.
It'll be great. Also, if you want to find, our socials.
Do it.
We're Another Zelda Podcast on everything, and Another Zelda Pod on X. Is that right?
Still Another Zelda Pod on X, but Zelda Podcast on everything else, all the things.
Yeah.
And of course, you can go to links to all of our socials. If you just go to anotherzeldapodcast.com, we've got them right up there on the top of the banner and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Also, join the Magical Sword people.
Magical Sword people hanging out with us right now on camera, not live. I should be clear about that, but watching us record this episode, and also we now also release these videos on a YouTube subscription model as well. It's the exact same video that happens on Patreon. The Patreon subscribers get a few more extras over on Patreon, but if you're interested in just seeing the video episodes, you can subscribe to our channel through YouTube.
Support us, baby.
There it is. All right, I gotta go make some dinner, Kady, so let's get going.
Yep.
Have a great couple days, because we're actually recording the next episode in like 3 days.
You too.
Amazing.